There we are.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Everybody's here.
okay.
All right, let's call the to order. Can I have a pledge of allegiance?
Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Kenner, roll call, please.
President McCarthy.
Present.
Dr. Carpenter.
Dr.
Yes, you're still on mute.
She's muted.
Present.
Provenza.
Here.
Mr. Forbeck.
Present.
Mr. Matlin.
Present.
Ms. Lualbo.
Here.
Mr. Sachovich.
Here.
Mayor Recupero.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Present.
Mr. Pitch.
Here.
I am also here. Did I get everybody?
I believe so. Before we get started, this is a totally different type of format. We're dealing in things that we've never dealt with before. I want to thank David and everybody for doing everything, pitching in what they do every day. Mark for keeping us up to speed on things. But after talking with Craig and looking at some things, these meetings are to be kept short. There's to deal with essential items only. So I'm asking that members will listen to comments, but I'm asking that members don't respond to those comments during these meetings like this. The comments
Yes.
they give,
Well, just use your computer then.
we would take them and utilize
hurry
them
up.
and work on them.
Bye.
And once we get back to normal meetings, we can address all these issues. But this is to keep council and the government running in Verona and to pay the bills and things. Craig, am I correct in this?
Absolutely. I think that Dave Matlin sent around an email a few days ago questioning what essential and non-essential was. I responded to that. I think that the Boroughs Association had a webinar on it, and while we're getting into this right now, I think the thing to do would be to keep it as brief as possible. Obviously, public participation is something that's mandatory under the Sunshine Law. Public comment, something that's mandatory under the Sunshine Law. But we should stick to essential items to the extent possible.
That's what I want to do, and I want council to realize, and I want the public that's listening to this to realize we're not trying to slight anybody. We're not trying to hide anything. We want to keep things going, and we will address these issues when the time comes at a proper time where we can address them properly and in length. And with that said, we will take public comments on the agenda and agenda only. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. If it goes extensively, we may have to ask Mr. Kenner to mute you so that we can keep these meetings short and moved on. Okay?
Mr. President, now would be the time to maybe explain how there's a function on the computer to raise your hand if you want to provide public input.
I'm not exactly sure how that works. And would you explain that? Because I'm not familiar enough with it.
Maybe Jerry can. I think it's, I don't know where it is on here.
It's Q&A.
There's a button that says to raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I see Joey raised his hand. Somebody else raised their hand. That would be how you would indicate that you have a comment to make, and then we can call on you based on.
Oh, I see it. It's under participants and raise hand.
All right.
can hear his comments, I would like to hear them.
I don't see
Oh,
any.
we've
I
raised
had-
public comment. So, looks like Joey Warren has his hand up, so I'll click allow to talk.
Please do.
And
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Appreciate you guys hosting this meeting for the community. I think it's very important, and I respect the piece you asked for with brevity, but I do have a question that I was hoping to get an answer on, President, if that's okay. I had a question about last week. We had wind gust up to 70 miles an hour that came through the borough. And at 1:30 in the morning, there was a lot of rumbling around my home, and I heard a siren. I'm not quite sure the difference of a fire alarm for the firehouses having activity versus like a shelter in home or like get to your basement alarm. So I don't know if you can explain the difference of the audio or how we would know the difference of what the community uses for those alerts as we go into high winds that might happen. You might have to communicate other than just a fire. Thank you.
Raymond, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have, and Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, we have nothing to warn other than regular fire whistle, correct?
Right.
The only thing we have on a fire station is a fire whistle itself, which we get toned out from the county, the 911 center. Now, there is some companies that, I mean, ours goes through a cycle. You can set the cycles. And ours is in a cycle of approximately 2.5 to 3 minutes, our siren goes. But some companies have the siren just keep continuously going up and down and doing through its revolution for 10, 15 minutes to alert people that if they hear that, they think, well, there's really something going on. But there's nothing really set in stone as to one whistle to differentiate from the other. No, we have just to alert that there's a fire going on.
Okay. David, do you have anything to add?
No, I agree with Raymond. We don't have nothing. Maybe it's something we could look into and implement something for, very high winds or possible tornado warnings. I mean, they seem to, we've been seeming to get them. There was just one up in both Trentham and New Kensington last week, like Joey was saying, coming through. But we have nothing to warn our residents, like most communities.
There is a warning system you can get on the through Pennsylvania that texts your phone that lets you know if there's severe thunderstorms and everything else through the area.
I do have that on mine. You're right.
Oh.
Okay, well, let's look into that and keep that in mind, and let's look into that. Anybody else?
Well, maybe we could also make sure if something like that's happening, we could get in touch with Curtis to put out the text.
Well, that's something we'll work on after this meeting.
I'm going to tell you, just from talking to one of the fire chiefs of Trentham, when they got the announcement from county dispatch that there was going to be tornado-sized winds and everything, he said by the time they got the announcement, he could hear the tornado coming up the valley. So there isn't a lot of, generally when that's happening, from my understanding from other fire chiefs and people around, there isn't a lot of extra time to be doing a lot of extra alerting per se. So just keep that on the back burner too.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other comments, Jerry?
A comment from Dawn. I think that's Dawn Worf.
Okay.
Dawn, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Is that Rhoda?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I emailed everybody concerning like requests to the council, and some of these requests go back, several years. Okay, and I was hoping when I sent the email to you, Jerry, I'm calling it my wish list, but I was just hoping that maybe with the committee and you could sit down, and once the weather starts clearing up, if we could, have the streets crew like maybe doing some of these items from the concerns and requests list that I had sent everybody. Like, for example, repainting the line on Center Avenue, repainting the blue handicap pole. Things that they can do individually. I understand we're in a crisis, I'm getting it. But I'm saying there's a lot of things on this list that can be done independently. So we don't want to slack off too much on.
Nobody's slacking off, Rhoda.
Pardon?
Nobody's slacking off.
No, I'm just saying, maybe
Our
that
crews
was
are still
correct,
working at full capacity.
because the streets crew is doing a beautiful job. I have no complaints. I don't want you to misconstrue my list, which sometimes I think it happens that people take some things too personally. So this isn't anything on that wavelength. I'm just suggesting, that's a good word, suggesting that maybe we can look through the list and maybe sit down with the streets crew and the committee and go over some of these items. That's all.
We'll take that up after we get back to regular meetings.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anybody else, Jerry?
No, not at this time.
Okay, then why don't you go to reports?
All right. So for I emailed everybody the financial reports last week. Payable report, list of checks. So we would need a motion to pay the bills.
I need a motion to pay the bills.
Make that motion.
Mr. Elbow made a motion. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Mike Forbeck seconded. All those in favor say aye. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any noes? Motion passes.
For the special tax, the tax and special tax collector report, for the month of March, we received $101,913.12 for current year real estate taxes, $11,854.15 in delinquent real estate taxes, $2,033.50 in real estate transfer taxes, $26,888.41 in earned income taxes for the current year, and $1,087.23 in local service tax for the current year.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Provenza made a motion to accept the bill, tax collector's special tax report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Janet Welbo seconded. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any noes? Motion passed.
For the treasurer's report for the month of March, we began the month with $279,268.77 in the general fund, received deposits of $213,027.46, had expenditures of $233,755.60 for an ending balance of $250,540.63.
I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Rich made the motion, second by Dr. Carpenter.
Mhm.
All those, are there any questions?
I just want to ask a question again, same thing. Maybe we can get together as the finance committee or whatever with the $15,000 in the recycling account. Move that into the general fund. I'm sure we could use it. Is that something that we could do?
Yeah, we have to figure out what that money was supposed to be earmarked for before we just commingle it. I think there were things.
I did make a couple inquiries about that. And if I'm not mistaken by the inquiries I made, and I did call, I called a couple of the previous council persons. Rhoda was one, she never, and she, maybe I have the wrong number, she never got back to me. But I did talk to, I believe, Michael Forbeck. And if we're under understanding, that's for the recycling account. That was when they started it back how long ago, and they had to keep a separate account. Isn't that what you explained, Mike?
Yeah, it was probably a separate, if they went for a certain grant, there was a separate account, but with the 904 grant that we get through recycling, you don't have to use that for recycling. You can use that for any expenses.
So in other words, if we wanted to, we could put that in the general account and just eliminate another line out of that,
Yes.
the
Yes.
treasurer's report.
I don't
That's what
have
I'm
a problem with that. I just wasn't around when we first got that grant.
Right.
I don't want to commingle money that we have to, because there's weird
Well-
laws with certain bunches of money that you have to use it for specific
Correct.
things. And I don't want to get the borough and jammed up.
So, Jerry, could you possibly just unmute where it says Dawn CW, and maybe Rhoda could also say what she remembers about that right now?
Now, let's move on. We'll take care of that afterwards with that. I mean, it's a good idea, but let him look into it and see where it has to go. Okay?
It sounds like it can go back in the general fund to me.
Well, he'll look into it and we'll take care of that.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any noes? Motion passed. Chief, your report, please.
This is for the month of March. We had 88 complaints, 12 crimes reported, 9 cleared. There were 5 arrests, one crimes code summary issued, 9 vehicle code summaries issued, and 12 borough code summaries issued, and also 78 borough parking tickets. Our revenue sources: magistrates' fines collected was $416. Borough fines and fees collected was $410. And then police reports purchased was another $105. Total fines and fees collected was $931.70 cents. And parking permit fees was $60.
Okay.
That's really all I have for tonight.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the police chief's report?
Make that motion.
Second.
First by Mr. Suchovich, second by Mr. Forbeck. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I just wonder, Chief, is there some way that you can electronically send that to us or send it to Marcia and she can make
Yeah,
copies of the
I'll take care of
report?
that tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Are there any other questions? No questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Are there any noes? Motion passed. Fire chief's report.
We had 10 fire calls for the month of March. We're at a standstill up there right now. We've suspended all activities other than fire calls and emergency calls. So there's not a lot going on up there right now. When this all settles down from the corona, the COVID-19, we'll get back to it. We got a lot of drilling and a lot of everything planned, but it's at a standstill right now. So that's all I have.
Okay. Motion on the floor to accept the fire chief's report.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
Ms. Lobo made a motion. I'll second that motion. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye. Are there any noes? Motion passed. I don't think we have an EMS report.
I have it.
Oh, do you, Dave? Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, it's from the Lower Valley Ambulance Service. They had 10 ALS calls, 6 BLS calls, 5 lift assists, 2 refusals, and 5 cancellations. Total 911 calls in Verona was total of 28 for the month of March.
Thanks, Mayor. I have a motion on the floor to accept the EMS report.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Suchovich made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mountain. Are there any questions?
Yeah, again, I wonder if there's some way for us to get an electronic report of that on email.
Jerry, can you?
I'll email it. I'll get it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any noes? No noes. Motion passed. Mark, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Jerry?
Mark, you're doing a great job keeping us updated on everything. And I appreciate it, not only as a council, but as the fire chief, because I get a lot of stuff from you. I get it from the county also, but you're doing a great job keeping us updated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry, anything else?
No, I don't have anything else at this time that would be considered essential.
Mr. Mayor Recupero?
I have a few things here. Talk about the COVID-19. I've sent several messages out throughout the month, and as Pat, you said, and Raymond just said, Mark has done a fabulous job. Him and I have been in contact, and everything that he sends out is pretty much on the news the next day, you know, the updates and what have you. And I have reached out to D Moore Tires and RCAC to let them know that if any Verona people, especially the Moore Tires, need anything, if they're afraid to go shopping or need medicine and afraid to go out, that contact the borough. And so far, everything is good there. We haven't had no requests. And I talked to Shirley Davis about the food bank, and she was very grateful when we put that out. The residents, they just kept putting it on their page and what have you and sharing it. And she got a very great response. She says they're feeding a lot of people, but right now they're starting to run low again. So if anybody could even drop off one canned good or whatever that they could, like they did before, it'd be gratefully appreciated. Gift cards are accepted. You know, they're great from Giant Eagle because they, like she said, they can go buy milk and, you know, things like that. And I would just like to thank Council and the chief and Ray, the fire chief, for doing, for being there. We all cooperate, getting the word out, and mainly the public. They've been fantastic on getting the word out, spreading anything that we put out on social media. Even with Curtis, they share it on their page. I'm not real familiar with all this high-tech technology and what have you, but the public, they get a round of applause for being there for this community. They're part of the community, and they're helping out. I've seen many times people offering to, hey, I'm going to Giant Eagle. Does anybody need anything? And that's fantastic. And there's a lot of names out there. There's too many to name, so I'm not going to, name people. But thanks to everyone. You're doing a fantastic job. And once again, to Council for, the great communication we all have. Mark, you're doing a fine job, like Ray said, getting the word out to all of us. And I appreciate it in this time of need. This is something different that every one of us, not only, in Verona, but the state, the country, the world is going through. It's something totally different that we're seeing, and it's a learning experience for all of us. When this is over, I'm sure, we can go back and look and see what we can improve on, which we will in the future. But for now, it's real hard, as you can see, to do whatever on the video. There's a lot of slow motion and garbling and what have you, but we are going to look into it in the future. I'm going to get with Mark and improve on some things. There's always room for improvement, and so we're going to work on that. And two other things real quick. Friday around 2 o'clock, I made a decision to put Easter Bunny on the fire vehicle, and I contacted Ray, contacted the chief, get a police escort, and that was really needed for this town on Saturday afternoon. It took 3 hours for them to go through the town, and I apologize if they missed any street, but the kids, it was very well accepted, not only with the kids, but the adults. So that was, the weather was great, and I'd like to thank Dave Stockman also, and the Chamber of Commerce for, the donation of the outfit like they do every year, and Dave was the Easter Bunny. And one last thing, Jerry, we talked about the extension of possibly extending the real estate tax?
Keystone's working on a plan to do that, as you can see by the financial report. Anything that's gone through with people that pay in the escrow, it's already done. But Keystone, the logistics of trying to do that with all their communities
Well,
find out.
I know the discount is ended at the end of April. Is that going to affect the discount for some people that are out of work that are struggling right now?
I think what they're trying to do is just extend it both dates by a month. So the discount would go, to the following month, and then the next day would go to the following month.
Okay, and I did reach out to the school board president. I haven't heard from her back yet to see if they were going to do anything, because our tax, if we extend it, is going to run right into the school tax, and that might be a real hardship if people aren't back to work by June, July. So we'll just keep I guess the residents updated on that as we go.
Yeah, I'll put it on the
That's all I have.
website. I'll put it on the website. I'll put it on Facebook so everybody will know.
I'd like to add something to that I learned from being on a call with Jay Costa and Mike Doyle. I think maybe a couple others of us were on that. I asked that question during that call, and I think they're going to make it statewide, that it would be, the discount would be August 31st, and the tax itself would be December 31st. This is what they told me week and a half ago, or whatever it was on the call last week, I guess.
Okay.
So, and then I asked the question, well, then it would run into the school tax being due at the end of August. And I think he said something to the effect of that they're going to work on that next. I don't honestly remember. I don't know who else was on that call. Maybe could add some more information. So my understanding is that it's going to be something statewide.
Okay.
I think that's
And
what
one final.
I think that's what they were trying to get done, because that's how they ended up extending earned income taxes, because it was going to be impossible to try to get every community to do the same thing. So they were trying to get the state to do it, which the state did do it. They passed an act that made earned income taxes get extended till July 15th. So they're trying to get the state to do it. That way all municipalities have to do it, and it makes the logistics of these tax collectors a lot simpler, because it's just across the board.
Hey, Dave, real quick before we move on, where do the residents drop off the goods for the food bank?
Right where they did before, right in front of the first doors at the police station. Is that where they dropped them off, Chief? Right there in the first set of doors?
Yeah, right in the vestibule.
And if they wanted to donate gift cards, I don't think that they just leave them sitting there. Would they entrust them with somebody?
I gave mine to Shirley.
I would give it to Shirley.
We could drop them off at the police station.
Yeah, we could take them if they don't want to take them to Shirley. That'd be all right.
Okay, thank you.
And it would be gratefully appreciated. And one final thing, I'd like to thank all the first responders, and let's not forget the truck drivers who are out there bringing us everything, and also the teenager kids, school kids that are working at Giant Eagle and all over the place that are making $8 an hour and stocking the shelves and bagging and what have you. They're up there with the first responders too, that with the people that are walking beside them. That's all I have now.
Is it to drop them off at Shirley? Would that be at the Methodist Church?
Yes. She's at the Methodist Church on Center, but I don't know hours that she's there.
Okay.
I did talk to her today, and she indicated that they need chicken noodle soup and toilet paper and paper towels as usual, and anything else that you can give. And as the mayor said, donate it, drop it off at the police station. And she said she would pick it up in a day every so often. Or Chief, if it gets too much, give her a call and she will come and get it.
Thank you.
Anything else, Dave?
And we could also give them the 828-6034 phone number at the police station, leave a message, and the chief or Annette could get back to them in order to drop the certificate off, the gift certificate off, if they wish to do that.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Anything
That's all
else?
I have. No,
Okay.
thank you.
Mayor, to reiterate what we all said and what you said is cooperation amongst us has been great. And thanks to Mark and you for doing so well. And Chief, I just want to know, do you, as on the front lines with things, and Raymond, with your fireman, is there anything that we can do? You know, I know the mayor would do everything he can to get you anything, if there is anything that we need to do for you to keep our officers safe.
I think everything's working. You know, like I said, we're a pretty small volume company, so we're not running a crap ton of calls. But we don't need anything right now. At this point, we got plenty of face masks. We've got sanitizer. There's gloves. We had a company, First Sign. They made signs, and they're I'm not sure exactly where, on a newsstand somewhere. They changed their operation over, and they started a GoFundMe page, and people donated enough that they made this sanitizer, hand sanitizer, and they donated it all to all of the fire departments in the area that asked for it. So we put a big thank you on our Facebook page, and so I think we're pretty good. And you know, if anything comes up, we've always worked well with the cops, and they worked well with us. So, and I know if we need anything, we can get a hold of Dave, and he'll square it up with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we have some face masks too. Raymond shared the sanitizer with us. I appreciate that. And I think we're good also.
Okay.
Like I said, we have right now, we have not an overabundance, but Chief, if you're starting to run a little short on something, give me a holler, and I'll check our stock and see what we have, and we can work it out, whatever.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Pitch.
Everyone has my report, so I'll just keep it brief. If there's any questions, I'll answer them. The only other thing I have is 2 weeks ago, we had a pretty nasty sanitary blockage and somewhat of a break on High and North. And it was actually on the hillside above Front Street there. And AJ and the crew did a phenomenal job of being able to dig and repair it themselves, saving the borough thousands of dollars over having a contractor come out and do it. So I just wanted to let everyone know that and give them the praise that they deserve for that, because they did a phenomenal job on it.
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Alexander.
Question for Matt. I know we have this crisis going on and we're waiting for plants to open and things like that, but do we have any clue when they might be working on 2nd Street?
So they were going to start when all this was first happening. They had actually reached out to Jerry and I to find out what type of funding it was. We made them aware it was local funding. Unfortunately, within the 2 days after that conversation, asphalt and paving projects was deemed unessential, and they are all closed right now. So until the state opens them back up, I believe we're first on their list, but we have to wait for them to open back up and be allowed to work first.
Okay, so maybe middle of May or something.
Hopefully, if it all opens back up in May, I would think that they get to us in May. I'll reach out to them tomorrow and kind of get a better feel for what their schedule is.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. I'll be brief as well. I think Nancy will talk a little on the code and ordinance meeting that we've had. We also did that under this Zoom platform. I think everybody knows that the sheriff's sales have been delayed, like everything else in the court system. The Marina Pub sheriff's sale is off because the property has now sold and closed. The sheriff's sale on 500 Jones, the old Rivertown, is still on, but it's been pushed out a little bit. I want to echo what everybody said with regard to Mark and public safety, but on top of that, with regard to code enforcement as well. He and I work on a number of issues together, and not only is he doubling down with his emergency management position, he's just come off this retina surgery, which I had twice. So I think a lot of accolades to him. And I just want to or hope everybody had a wonderful Easter, best we could possibly have at these crazy times. But that's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Matlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll keep this brief as well. I just would like to thank the streets crew and Matt for the efforts to fix that sewer line at North and High. That was a pretty good effort to get it done and save a lot of money. But the one thing I had was there have been a lot of requests between Rhoda's requests, and this kind of addresses her comment at the beginning, and the Parks and Rec Board. They did a walkthrough before the pandemic kind of reached us, and I know Janet may mention that later, but there were a list of things from both that about through Public Works. They had a lot of recommendations for maintenance items, and we did have a meeting with the Parks and Rec Committee, myself and Janet's the chair, and Sylvia last night. So we're looking at things that may be able to be done, but and I'm going to try to get together a phone call with Ray and Nancy as part of the Public Works Committee as far as some of the other items. I think the important thing to keep in mind is that the streets crews, even though Jerry said that they're working full time still, that, they're going to focus on essential, emergency, and maybe some regular maintenance items. So we're going to look and see if there's anything that can be done either individually or with social distancing that, complies with the guidance that Craig has given us and with the state orders. But, maybe try to tackle some of the maintenance, the low hanging fruit while it's safe and allowable that, might otherwise have to be pushed out, and then they have a backlog. So basically we're reviewing these things with the committees to see what can or can't be done. And we're going to prioritize them as best we can. And, I just want to let everyone know that we're still looking into that, even though, this whole thing's going on. So just asking for patience, and that we'll address everything as best we can. That's all I have. Thanks.
No, thank you, Mr. Matlin. Dr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Pat. Well, we did have our ordinance meeting on March 30th. And as Craig mentioned, many things have sort of gone on the back burner. We have a couple civil suits pending, the sheriff's sales, as he mentioned, and the demo hearing that we were going to have on the 10th of March has obviously been put on hold for the same reason. All the courts are closed, so we can't do any of those things. However, at the same time, we're still planning on having another virtual ordinance meeting at the end of April, whatever that last Monday is. And it'll probably be fairly short. But we are continuing to do research on a short-term rental ordinance, and also looking at refiguring some of the permit building fees and things like that. I wanted to add too that I think Verona should be very proud of itself, because the last time I saw a report, Verona had 0 cases of the virus, unless somebody has seen an update on that. we should be proud of ourselves as a town, everybody following all of the guidelines. That's great. I also just wanted to say that Mike, who's on the ordinance committee, has been working on the comprehensive plan, but I think that has slowed up because of the virus. So that's continuing to go at a slow pace. Also want to thank in addition to first responders and all the people that have been mentioned so far, I also want to thank, regardless of whether we have issues or not, all the people who collect the garbage, all the people who do housekeeping, you know, all the people who do food delivery, any of those other services that don't get recognized as much. We need everybody, and I appreciate what everybody's doing. I don't know when to ask this, that I wanted to ask a question. We can maybe, I don't know when else to talk about it, but I would like to ask about street sweeping and what's going on with that.
Jerry?
I don't know that anything's going on with it. I'll talk to AJ and see.
I mean, if there's a reason that they can't do it, I'm good with that. If something more urgent comes up and they need to take care of that. But
I think one of the issues with the street sweeping, Nancy, is that the cars are parked on both sides of the street, and we're not tagging them, so they can't be moved.
Right. So
accommodated. So I think that may be part of the issue, and that they're probably not street sweeping because of that. And I understand that.
Go ahead, Dave.
I understand what Nancy's saying, but I think they can still go out and, you know, and do what they can. There are some people that still do work, you know, that they can go to work and they can just go around the cars. I personally don't have a problem. I'm not going to tag anybody for street sweeping, but I don't have a problem sending them out. I know Parker Street, there may be 4 cars on there during, you know, any given day. Even if the people are working, you know, that they could go around. But that's up to the board what they want to do.
I have a concern. I'd rather not see stuff become airborne if it doesn't have to be. I would rather during this particular period of time, I don't think, unless we absolutely need to have this done, I'd rather not have things spewed in the air.
I have to agree with Mike. I agree the street sweeper looks good, but you start disrupting all this, there's a lot of unknowns. This coronavirus is an unknown. And I just have to agree with Mike.
All right. Let's look into it. But I don't disagree with you, Mike. Thank you. Anything else, Dr. Carpenter?
Let's see here. No. Let Mike talk about the comprehensive plan. He's coming up next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Forbeck.
Yeah, well, I don't have anything further on the comp plan. As Dr. Carpenter said, it's kind of on hold during this whole ordeal that we're going through, and we're certainly going to pick that up as soon as we can. I mirror everybody what they said already about, and I'm not going to repeat it, but I want to thank, you know, the police, the EMS, the mayor, Mark, fire department, all the street crew, everybody that's involved with this. It's fantastic, and I think we should. As Mayor said, is to continue to help with the local folks too. You know, support those that are offering takeout. You know, offer those folks who are suffering. Let's all help them them out. And I think a lot of people in Verona have. So thank you. So the police committee did conduct interviews for a police officer for the borough of Verona for a part-time police officer, and the committee was unanimous, along with the mayor and also the police chief also involved with the interview. And we'd like to formally recommend that Frederick Hockenberry be hired by the Verona Borough for the part-time police officer position. And would I make that motion, or?
Yep, yes.
I will make that motion that we hire Frederick Hockenberry as the part-time police officer for Verona.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Forbeck to hire Mr. Hockenberry as a part-time police officer for the Verona. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions? No questions. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any noes? No noes. Motion passed. Mayor, we got one for you.
All right.
Finally.
Keep putting the
Sorry, Jan.
advertisement on, please. I need to get more officers working. And Chief, let's get Fred working as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Mr. Suchovich.
I have nothing at this time on the budget and finance. All the bills are paid. That's the main thing right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lyalba.
Just real brief, we had our Zoom Rec and Board Parks and Rec meeting last Tuesday. They went over the list of items through the park. They did a park tour in March, went over the list of items that are, that need to be done to get the parks ready for the summer. A lot of that will be on hold because of this. Spoke with Dave and Sylvia last night. We went over that list as well. The ones that are more important, Dave is going to hook up with AJ and maybe Jerry too, just to see, what if any of those things can be done during this time. If not, we'll all get done in due time. So thanks to the rec board for bringing this to our attention. There's a few things that I'm going to check out myself and go over to see exactly, what actually does need done too. There's some things I'm a little bit iffy on that I'm going to check out myself. So we'll move on further and hopefully we'll get through this soon. So thank you everybody for all your hard work that everybody's put forth. Mayor, you're doing a great job getting the word out too. I appreciate it. Jerry, everybody, Mark, thank you all. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Provenza.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Pat. I'm sure you all noticed when the newsletter came out that it has doubled its size now. So we're real proud and real pleased to say that it is really growing. We have new articles coming in. We have new ads coming in, and it's great. We're real happy about that. The deadline for the next newsletter will be June the 10th. So if you can get your ads or your articles into us, that'll be great. And the articles would go to Dawn and Rhoda Wharf, and that address would be, let me give you the address. And if you don't have anything to write it down on, it's page 2 in a newsletter. You'll see the information for Donald and for me. I handle the ads and Dawn handles the editorials. It's veronanewsroom@gmail.com. And my telephone number is also in there. You can feel free to call. And also, I got a number of calls of people saying how pleased they were to see that we as a borough had taken the time to set up a Easter Bunny drive-through through Verona. Many of the children, I would say probably all of them, were just thrilled. This was something they needed to kind of boost their morale because everybody just stays indoors. So this was a very nice thing. And I want to truly thank Dave and our Chief Ray, our fire chief, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Easter Bunny for showing up. It was a great thing, and it was very greatly appreciated by all the residents here in town, not only the children, but even the adults. So many thanks to all of you. That was wonderful. And I got a call from Rhea Homa. She asked if I would announce that tomorrow evening will be a Verona community group meet and greet, and it will be done virtually, of course. And it will be at 7 p.m. and it will be done on Zoom. And there's going to be some important things that are going to be discussed with the coronavirus. There's going to be information given that will be helpful to all of our residents. And also there will be information and discussion on our 150th anniversary, which is coming up next year. So you don't want to forget, if you possibly can, get on Zoom tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. and there's going to be a very nice meeting. And I extend thanks to everybody from our president, vice president, down to all of our council people, to our streets crew, to everybody. Everybody's working together, and I think together, I know it, I don't think it, we're going to make it. So I thank everybody, and I just say stay well and stay safe. And that is my report. There wasn't really any events because everything's canceled. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm
If I
sure
may,
that,
Sylvia, I'd also like to thank Sergeant Francos for helping me to put this together, along with the chief and the fire chief also for putting that
Okay,
together,
thank
along with
you.
the chair.
Okay, please excuse, I didn't mean to omit anybody. And I
No,
should,
that's fine.
if I omitted anybody, my
No.
apology. But thank you for
No
bringing that
problem.
up, Dave. I appreciate it.
okay.
And I just want to clarify something. Sylvia, the meeting you're talking about with Rhea, I thought there was a meeting to discuss the 150th next Thursday. Is it this Thursday? Did it get changed?
I don't know. Well, this was just going to be part of tomorrow evening's.
Oh,
That's what I was
tomorrow
told.
evening is like, there are two meetings. Okay, so there's one tomorrow and next Thursday.
Yes.
Oh, it's a happy hour tomorrow. Okay.
Yes.
So sorry,
Yes.
I didn't know about the happy hour.
No,
Okay.
that's
Thank
okay.
you.
But I think they're going to touch on the 150th also. That's the way I understood it.
Okay.
Got
Thank
it.
you.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Thank
Sure,
you.
you're welcome.
I'm sure there's no special committee reports. Is that a bad assumption?
Hey, Matt.
Pat, if I may,
Pat has something.
I just saw under the Q&A section, someone posted a question asking if building occupancy permits can be attained at this time. That's something that.
We'll come back to that in 1 second. Let's finish this special committee
sorry.
stuff up, and then I'll come back to that. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, I was just saying Matt had something to mention.
Okay. There's no
Dave-
special reports. Okay.
Hold on. Dave, is COG going to have any virtual meetings, or are they just canceling them all?
When I asked about the March meeting, they just canceled it. I don't know yet about April. I'll follow up with Tom and see what they're doing. I think at the time when I asked him, it was mid-March, and he said they weren't really prepared to set up something virtually yet. So he was kind of taking it 1 month at a time. But yeah, there wasn't a meeting in March. I haven't heard yet on April, so I'll try to find out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Matt, back to your question. This is under the comment. We're going to take this as public comments now.
Yes, I saw it popped up in the question and answer, and I guess it would be more for Jerry and Mark. Someone was asking if occupancy permits were still being handled at this time.
Mark or Jerry, you want to answer that?
The Governor Wolf's orders are that we are not to do any occupancy inspections, rental inspections. But I would suggest anyone that's in that situation, give me a call and let me talk to them personally and see what we can do to help them.
Okay, I'll type an answer back to them then.
Are there any other comments from the public?
Mark, what's your phone number? What's the best phone number for someone to reach you?
Best thing to do is call my cell
Who's
phone.
meeting host?
Let Mark finish, please.
Okay. Call my cell phone, 412-298-7577. On Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, if possible.
Okay, thank you.
Meeting host is Joey Warren. So we're ready for our next comment. Are we ready?
Go ahead.
Can you guys hear my question?
Ready.
We're
This was
ready
just
to hear your question.
Thank you, President. Just a comment. I want to say I appreciate you guys going with this virtual meeting. I know it's something new, but I appreciate you guys sharing all these things in the public forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? There really being no other comments, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. We will plan on having the workshop on April 28th. And hopefully we'll have more information by then, but I'm making a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll
Second,
second.
Second by Ms. Provenza. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Are there no no's? Motion passed. This meeting is adjourned.
Have a good
Thank you,
evening.
everyone.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.